Is living alone after 65 a mistake that leads to loneliness? Or could it be a quiet victory? Many people assume that as we age, living alone is something to avoid. They envision isolation, danger, and long, empty days. However, for many people between 65 and 80, living alone can be one of the most empowering and rewarding choices you can make. It's not about pushing others away, it's about creating a space that's truly yours, where your preferences are respected, your pace is your own, and your peace is maintained. Some worry that living alone means being forgotten or vulnerable, but for many older adults, it can bring newfound strength, clarity, and a sense of renewal. It offers a chance to grow rather than shrink, to breathe deeply instead of tensing up, and to rediscover parts of yourself that may have been overshadowed by years of caregiving, compromise, and busyness. Living alone doesn't mean being isolated. It means living intentionally, in a way that aligns with your needs and desires. In this video, we'll dive into 6 honest and often overlooked reasons why living alone in your late 60s, 70s, or even early 80s can be a wise and joyful decision. If you've ever questioned whether independence is still for you, or if society has led you to believe that solitude equals sadness, then this is for you. What you'll learn here might surprise you in the best way possible. Let's begin. Number 1. A greater sense of independence. There's something deeply fulfilling about being able to make your own decisions, whether it's choosing when to have a meal, what music to listen to, or how you'd like to spend a quiet morning with a cup of coffee. When you live alone, you have the power to decide all of that. There's no need to explain yourself, no need to adjust the thermostat to someone else's liking, or compromise over what's for dinner. To some, this might seem trivial, but for many older adults, it can be the first time in years that they're able to fully embrace their own preferences without feeling guilty or interrupted. Autonomy doesn't mean refusing help. It's about keeping your dignity intact. When you live with others, especially adult children or caregivers, it's easy to feel as if decisions are being made for you. What starts as helpful assistance can slowly shift into a form of control. Before long, your routines are adjusted to fit theirs. Your needs are shaped around their schedule, and what was once your personal space becomes a shared space where your voice is a little less heard. Over time, this can erode confidence, even though everyone involved may have the best intentions. Let me share the story of Mary, a 74-year-old woman who moved in with her son after a hip injury. She was grateful for the care, the safety, and the meals prepared with love. But gradually, she began to notice herself fading into the background. She stopped listening to her favorite records because her grandson didn't like the noise. She adjusted her mealtime to fit with the family's routine. One day, she realized she hadn't chosen her own bedtime in weeks. When she healed and moved back into her own apartment, something shifted. She walked with more confidence, smiled more often, and even started dancing in her kitchen again. It wasn't just the space that made the difference. It was the return of her ability to choose. Living alone restores that choice. It's a reminder that you're not just aging, but still living, still growing, still deserving of shaping each day in a way that feels right for you. That kind of independence nurtures self-respect, and self-respect, no matter your age, leads to a quiet inner strength. Number 2. A more peaceful environment. There's a calm that only comes when you're in your own space. Not a silence that feels empty, but one that feels clean, soothing, and undisturbed. When you live alone, you have the power to shape that calm. You control the rhythm of your day, the sounds you invite, and those you leave behind. There's no television blaring in the next room, no footsteps echoing down the hall at 5 a.m., no phone calls leaking through thin walls, just the sound of your own breath, the gentle creak of your favorite chair, and the quiet that so many people long for their whole lives. That kind of environment has a calming effect on your nervous system. It eases anxiety, reduces cortisol, the stress hormone linked to everything from high blood pressure to restless sleep, and brings a sense of peacefulness. When you live with others, especially if they're busy, loud, or emotionally charged, you absorb their energy, whether you're aware of it or not. You end up carrying their chaos, their moods, their mess, and before long, you forget what it felt like to simply be still in your own space. Consider the story of Clara, a a 70-year-old retired teacher who spent 5 years living with her adult daughter and 2 young grandchildren. She loved them dearly, but every day brought a whirlwind of motion, noise, and constant interruptions. There was always a question to answer, a spill to clean up, a need for her attention. By the end of the day, Clara felt exhausted. When her daughter moved into her own home, Clara didn't just regain her space. She regained a sense of calm. Her sleep improved, her digestion was better, and she even said her memory felt sharper, not because of medication, but because her body was finally able to relax. There's something healing about being in a space where no one needs anything from you. First thing in the morning, you don't have to engage in conversations you didn't start. You don't have the pressure to respond, perform, or smile when you're not ready. You're just there in a space that listens more than it demands. For many older adults, that's not loneliness, it's peace. And once you experience that kind of peace, it's something you'll never want to give up. If you're still watching this and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I suggest you do so and turn on notifications so you never miss any future videos. Your support helps us keep creating content that informs and inspires. Number 3, the freedom to shape your own routine. There's a special kind of joy in living life on your own terms. Waking up when your body is ready, eating when you're truly hungry, choosing the right time for errands, rest, or simply turning off the lights without worrying if it fits into someone else's schedule. Living alone offers you this freedom. It allows you to take control of the rhythm of your day. And once you settle into this rhythm, it can become something deeply healing. Too often, as we get older, we adjust our routines to fit the needs of others, whether it's the schedule of an adult child, the demands of a caregiver, or even a neighbor who stops by uninvited. Gradually, our days begin to revolve around someone else's clock. Over time, this can take a toll. Meals become hurried, sleep is disrupted, and personal rituals like enjoying a morning walk or reading in the afternoon start to fade away. You might not notice it right away, but something inside you starts to wither, like a flower turning away from the sun. Let me tell you about Carl, a 77-year-old widower who moved in with his nephew after a health scare. At first, it felt like a helpful arrangement. There was company and care. But soon, Carl found himself waking up with the family's rush to get the kids to school, eating meals on their schedule, and being surrounded by constant noise. He missed his quiet mornings, his leisurely breakfast, and his peaceful afternoons. Eventually, he decided to return to his own apartment. What happened next surprised everyone. His energy came back, he started painting again, and he began sleeping soundly through the night, all because he regained control over his time. Having your own routine isn't selfish, it's nurturing. It's about listening to your body, caring for your spirit, and moving through the day with purpose, not obligation. Living alone doesn't mean isolation. It means finding harmony with your own pace, needs, and small joys. This kind of alignment can help you live a life that feels not just manageable, but profoundly right. Number 4, emotional resilience and confidence. There's a quiet strength that comes from proving to yourself that you can handle life on your own, not because you have no choice, but because you choose to. Living alone in your later years doesn't just give you freedom, it builds a quiet kind of strength. It's the strength you gain from paying the bills, calling the plumber, deciding what's for dinner, and locking your front door at night. Each of these small acts sends a message to your heart. I am capable, I am steady, and I am still in charge of my life. For many older adults, there's a fear that with age comes a loss of independence, that the less help you need, the more you're taking on. But in reality, managing life on your own, when done thoughtfully and safely, can help restore the confidence that may have faded over time. When you make decisions for yourself and solve daily challenges, your sense of self grows stronger. You stop doubting yourself, you stop waiting for someone to guide you, and you start trusting your instincts again. Let me tell you about Bernice, an 81-year-old who had lived with her sister for most of her life. When her sister passed away, many expected Bernice to move in with family, but she chose to stay in the house they had shared. At first, she was unsure if she could handle it. But little by little, day by day, she learned to manage her finances, repair a broken faucet, take walks by herself, and one day, After making her own doctor's appointment and driving herself there, she said out loud, "I didn't know I could still do all this." That moment of realization lit her up from the inside. Living alone offers moments like this, moments that rebuild the connection between who you were and who you still are. It serves as a reminder that aging isn't about disappearing, it's about evolving. The more you do for yourself, the more you believe in yourself. And that belief becomes a form of emotional armor. It steadies you when life feels uncertain, grounds you when the future seems unclear, and fills your quiet days with not doubt but a deep, earned sense of pride. If you're still with me and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Your support helps us continue creating content that informs and inspires you. Number 5. Fewer social conflicts and emotional friction. One of the most often overlooked advantages of living alone in your later years is the peace that comes from fewer daily conflicts. You no longer have to deal with passive-aggressive remarks, absorb someone else's bad mood, compromise on the volume of the TV, or hold your tongue at the dinner table. While these might seem like small things, emotional friction, especially when it's constant, can be draining. It slowly chips away at your sense of ease, and over time it can quietly rob you of the joy in your days without you even noticing it. When you live with others, even those you love, there's always the potential for tension. It might be differences in habits, beliefs, or how you like your space to feel. And while these differences might seem manageable, the constant need to adjust, explain, or defend your preferences wears you down. Eventually, you might find yourself shrinking to keep the peace, stopping yourself from saying what you think, walking on eggshells, editing your joy. That quiet pressure adds up. Take the story of Leonard, a 79-year-old who moved in with his daughter after a minor fall. She meant well and wanted to protect him, but soon every decision became a debate. Whether he could drive, whether he could eat what he wanted, or even whether he could work in the garden. After a year, Leonard asked to move into a small senior apartment complex, not because he didn't love his family, but because he missed his voice. Within weeks of moving, his posture improved, his laughter returned. He said it felt like his home was finally his again. Living alone doesn't mean cutting people out. It means choosing when and how to connect. It means maintaining your emotional boundaries. It means making room for relationships that bring peace, not those forced by proximity. And when you do spend time with others, whether it's friends, family, or neighbors, it comes from a place of fullness, not exhaustion. That kind of clarity doesn't just make you feel better, it helps you love better. And that might be the greatest gift of all. Number 6. A deep, dear connection with yourself. There's a kind of wisdom that only grows in silence. When you live alone, especially in your late 60s, 70s, or early 80s, something shifts, not just in your schedule or space, but in your awareness. Without the constant noise of others' opinions, without the subtle pull to entertain or explain yourself, you start to hear your own thoughts more clearly. You remember what you enjoy, what you believe, what you miss, what still sparks your curiosity. This kind of self-connection can be life-giving in ways that most people don't expect. For so many years, we are defined by our roles: parent, spouse, employee, caregiver, always doing and giving. But when the house quiets and the world gives you space, you finally get the chance to ask yourself, who am I now? What do I want these years to look like? That's not a sad question. It's a sacred one. Solitude becomes your canvas, and from that stillness, new things begin to bloom. Maybe it's writing, painting, prayer, or simply resting in your favorite chair, watching the light shift across the floor, feeling for the first time that there's no rush. Let me share the story of Harold, an 84-year-old widower who had always been surrounded by people. After his wife passed away and his children moved out of state, Harold decided not to fill the silence. He didn't join every club or invite visitors in all the time. Instead, he sat with himself. At first, it felt strange and uncomfortable, but over time he began journaling, recording his memories. One day, he said, "I thought I was alone. But in the quiet, I found someone. I found me." Those words stayed with me. Living alone isn't about absence, it's about presence, in your thoughts, in your unfolding life. When you give yourself the space for that kind of depth, it doesn't just bring peace, it brings meaning. You realize that aging isn't about fading, it's about uncovering. And in that uncovering, you don't just find comfort, you find yourself. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Your support helps us continue to create content that informs and inspires. Now let's continue. Final thoughts. Living alone after the age of 65 is often misunderstood. Many people assume it's a lonely experience, one full of risks or seen as a last resort. But for many, it's quite the opposite. It's a return to oneself, a peaceful unfolding, a choice to live on your own terms while you still have the ability. It doesn't mean shutting others out. Rather, it's about welcoming yourself back in. It's about recognizing that your preferences still matter, that your time, your energy, and your space are precious and deserving of protection. You've earned this chapter. Each scar, every laugh line, every hard-won boundary. Living alone gives you the room to breathe, to think without interruption, to feel your own feelings without fear of judgment. It provides the kind of peace that comes from being with someone who truly understands you. And in this case, that someone is you. That type of companionship isn't lesser, it's far deeper. And once you experience it, you'll realize that you were never really missing anything. You were simply waiting to come home to yourself. So if you've been wondering whether this lifestyle is right for you, don't rely on what the world tells you. Look inward. Ask your body how it feels when the house is quiet. Ask your mind how it reacts when no one is watching. Ask your spirit what it longs for when the day is entirely yours. The answers may not come quickly or loudly, but they will be honest. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below sharing one thing you learned today and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your thoughts are valuable to us, so don't hesitate to share. Reading your comments gives us the motivation and encouragement to keep going. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.